All right, part two of my Opus 4.7 thoughts. So, the last time I talked about how I feel like Opus regressed. I've been feeling like it's kind of lobotomized. Um, Part of the reason why is because Opus 4.7 is not thinking as hard, and also it just does not listen. So one of the couple things I had to do to like even I it works a little bit better now. So one of the first things I had to do was I had to go into the memory files and read what type of memories it was writing, because I told it not to do something and I pressed Control O, right, just to like actually read what it's writing, because I said, bro, like it just does not follow instructions, and I was like, it must be retarding. It must be writing some dumb shit. So I press Control O. I open it, and this guy or this thing wrote some dumb shit. It wrote some dumb shit. It completely I don't even think it misinterpreted me. It just wrote some absolute stupid shit. I told it not to do something, and I can't express it because it's a machine. But like, words cannot describe the dumb shit I be seeing it, and I can't even remember it or even describe it because it's so out of my comprehension. You know what I mean? It's like, you're gonna go brush your teeth, and then that person needs water because to wet the toothbrush, and they dip it in the toilet because they were like, oh, I didn't want to waste water, and there was already water in the toilet sitting there, and it would been quicker to just dip it real quick. Some dumb shit like that had never crossed my mind. So it's really tough, but that's the type of shit Opus be doing. And bro, like, I can't even recollect it because I had to delete it. I said, what the fuck is this? But one of the things that really ticked me off was that I noticed that it's one of the things that I noticed that's been really annoying about Opus 4.7 is that it just would not continue. It will stop. And one of the things it wrote into memory, right, was like, oh, even if user tells me to do something, if I feel like, it's enough for the session, I'm going to stop. I had to go into it and I just had to rewrite that. I'm like, bro, why are you writing this shit? That's not at all what I said. I rewrote that. I said, Opus 4.7 has a 1 million token count, context count. No, I'm not using the whole 1 million of it because it starts getting like super, I don't know, it's like a non-cancelable. I don't know, like the longer you might have a million token count, context count, but it doesn't mean you should, you know, be letting it do anything with once that token count goes up, because it starts being an idiot. So I had to just write it and tell it, listen, keep going. When I tell you to keep going, keep going. You know what I mean? You have a million token count. I said token count be damned. Do the work. Because the thing is, I do this chunk by chunk. It's I don't care. You know what I mean? I'll figure shit out later. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I had to rewrite that because have its, I don't want to say it's a mind of its own, but it's low power mode, trying to conserve. And if it's what are you trying to conserve? You're trying to conserve my tokens, bro. No, thank you. What are you doing, bro? I'll tell you, you know. And one of the things I've also been trying to address So I had to crack open the Claude code documentation and look into hooks. I had to like sit down and like be like, what type of hooks am I even gonna like write? Because man, the hard part of using hooks for me is that, well, one thing, it's I'm using it for my personal projects and I have my own quirks. I'm not like a traditional programmer. I got into programming deeply and more deeply with like vibe coding tools, and I just dived deeper and deeper and having fun with it. You know what I mean? All intuitively, no one pressing me, no boring shit. So I still like programming. I know some people be like, yeah, it's boring, but I've been gathering an interest, at least developing my own framework for it. But sorry. But one of the things I had to sit down and be like, I had to like sit down and just try and figure out what's the nature of the problem. Like, what is it doing? Like what the hell is it doing? Where are things going wrong? And I sat down for a bit, and then I was like, I don't know. Like I could prompt things, preemptively, or because there was like a few ways to do the hooks. Um, I wasn't sure, so and I was like, I'm not gonna like waste my time. I said, let me just make like a quality assurance command, and then the hook activates after it does its chunk, just to check over its work. That's about it though. I cracked up on that, and that's what I did. The next thing I did was, I haven't been able to trust it. So I've been having, you know Codex. I've been using Codex as like an auditor. You know what I mean? To like figure out what's going on. There's been quite a bunch of issues. I also have been having to start. I also started documenting the issues because there are some patterns. So I could actually read you some issues I've had with Opus 4.7. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Um, yeah. So the other thing, it's like, I mean, one thing I realized I'm gonna have to do is make clearer and more obvious boundaries of what not and not to do, which is something I didn't have to do before. Um, because, for example, the scene module, right, was also functioning as an asset preloader, world lifecycle manager, screen run state synchronizer, replay, rebuild coordinator, a bunch of other shit that if I say it out loud, I'm like, a little embarrassed. Like, it should have been obvious. Yeah, it was obvious. I was seeing all those like imports and stuff like that. But I'm not gonna stress it because the thing is, I'm really building this for games, and the scene module is for like handling, scenes, right, in my project. That's some of the game engine stuff that I don't care about, nor do I want to look at that shit. Nor, if as long as it works, it works. But the issue is, as the you know in the beginning, things are always so smooth. If you build with these AI model, I mean, I don't know what it's like in enterprise. You know what I mean? There's probably a lot of more code checks, but if you're doing personal stuff, it's so much fun to build and get something working. But as you scale up and the blocks start going up and up, the complexity starts going, you start noticing these errors. And if you at least read over like the changes, you know sometimes I like accept it, sometimes nah, I'm like whatever. Because I said I have to start finishing projects just to understand what goes on to making a complete project. And sometimes you have to like start cracking some books open, because the other thing is with software, it's something abstract, you make it concrete. And anyways, as these blocks add up, and the more, if these blocks are low quality, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna end up with a very complex code base. Just to make one change breaks a billion other things. um One of the other issues was I was trying to get Opus to make deep modules, right? Because I read that from one of the books I cracked open. But but somehow it misinterpreted that as like, and started building these monolithic structures that, instead of being grouped together by like function, purpose, intention, as I originally wanted to be, it starts, bro, like it's constantly like, despite me having rules, man, it like wants to make everything like a Swiss Army knife. You know what I mean? No matter how much I have it in the rules, which it completely ignores. It does not keep things modular. That's part of the reason why I even avoided object-oriented programming, is because object-oriented programming is such a pain in the ass, man. Like, I don't understand how people manage and deal with that. All that class structure shit makes no sense, man. Like, I think part of the reason like programming gave me the ick for such a long time is just the class based bullshit. To me, I mean, I don't know. I have not been in a scenario where I like that. You know what I mean? I have not found a scenario. It might have its purpose. I'm not gonna deny it, but I do prefer. I've been looking into more like different paradigms, man. Functional makes a lot more sense. I like the data oriented. I learned about like a railways paradigm or something like that recently. By recently, I meant like, I don't know, around like the morning today. Just because you have to adapt. That's all I gotta say. You gotta adapt, man. And just the fact that I've been having to sit down and crack open the Claude documentation just so it could work like it worked before, because bro, I'm gonna be honest, right now to me Opus is like everything I disliked about Gemini, except it's more coherent and makes something work. Gemini, bro, like have not found a good use for Gemini, man. Even if I have it read stuff and audit stuff, it's always so brief. And speaking on Gemini, I noticed that they started like having more usage limits. I don't know, man. I have not found a use for Gemini. The Nano Banana stuff, cool. The video stuff, cool. But that's it, man. Like, in terms of like programming, I'm still trying to figure out what can I trust it with. Maybe, I mean, I'll give it this. It's good at designing stuff, or like decent. You know what I mean? But that's about it. Maybe like I can have it design a component library, or like customize a shad CN for me, right? But I don't know. Besides that, I don't know. I haven't found a use for it. Codex, I don't know. I like Codex as like an auditor, QA auditor, just because Codex is a lot more mechanical, and so I prefer the QA just because I have to be a lot more directive. But who knows, man? Like, with the whole Opus stuff, I am learning a lot more verbiage and stuff like that, just to better direct things. But for now, it is what it is. I'll update y'all. And right now, I was even watching a video, bro. I was watching this when I started this Matt Peacock video on workflow for AI coding. That should just be like proof in of itself that Opus has been an absolute has like Cloud Code has absolutely regressed. You know what I mean? Compared to what it used to be, 100% regression, man. 100%. It has. I don't know. I haven't seen any improvements for me personally. All right, bye.